items, and then making another world team. You just said 4th in a row.
4th in a row, yes, sir.
How do you do that, consistency?
It's just, believing, just believing that you belong here, and especially just, being at Oregon State lately, loving it out there. My coaches have definitely been helping me, kind of secure my confidence, and, they tell me that no matter what style it is, I'm just good at wrestling, just universally. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And, as a lot of people probably think that the more teams you make, the more pressure is on you to make the next one. But for me, that it puts more ease on me, because I get to tell myself, I've done this before. I belong here. I get to wrestle these guys, and I believe I'm the best. So why not go show it? And, I always like to show people that Greco is a lot more fun than they think. And so I think having fun is also a big part of it too. You can't always be results oriented. You got to be work ethic oriented, and you got to have fun with it, or else it'll never mean anything, and eventually you'll burn out. But I just think the biggest part is just having fun, and knowing that I do belong here and believing in that 100% every time.
So how have you evolved and gotten better as a Greco wrestler? Because you have to continue to do that to keep having the sustained success that you have. So where do you think that's been for you?
Especially just in the hand fight. I think I have the technique. Especially in parterre and especially on my feet. I can do all that flashy stuff. But in order to keep progressing at for me now next year will be a U23 in the senior level. I gotta get better at the hand fighting, the gritty part, being able to wrestle for 6 minutes and staying disciplined, because in the past that has been what I struggled with. And I also know that, when people lose these matches, 3-2 for these 1-point matches, is because they don't stay disciplined enough with their arms and, knowing where their legs are. And so I think that's the biggest part for me is, I know the technique now. I have to master the boring stuff in order to get a lot better, right? Because a lot of people think Greco's boring, but they don't appreciate the grit that it takes, moving your legs and keeping your arms tight for 6 minutes. It's hard. And so that's definitely, I got to progress in that area more, so that way, I can still perfect my techniques as well.
So you've had the feeling, you know what it feels like to be the best in the world. Like you've been there. How do you do it at this level? I mean, how do you get to that point again?
That's a good question. I've been chasing that feeling for 3 years now. In Jordan, got sick, didn't pan out. Last year, lost a heartbreaking match, didn't pan out. But all I could do is just, live for the Lord and keep doing everything that I do every day in the name of God, and being grateful, I think, is also a big component, because once you start wrestling grateful and you start wrestling and having fun, that's when your best wrestling happens. And I can't say that I do that every tournament, especially the tournaments I'm most nervous for, like Worlds and etc. But I always believe in myself no matter what. I always believe that I'm the best and that I belong here. So it's just me and a dream. And I think having the dream to win is the biggest component, but also, mastering the grit, loving the hard stuff, as Corey Cricks, my son, says. You gotta love the things that you don't love yet. You gotta love the hard work, the nitty-gritty stuff. And once I fall in love with that again, I'm just chasing the same feeling that I had when I won Worlds 3 years ago. It's been too long, and I crave it every day. I really do.
For those who don't know, I mean, what's it like? You got Team USA on the chest, and you're stepping up on the mat at the World Championships. Like, what is that feeling like as a wrestler?
It's an honor. It's really an honor being able to, represent America, especially greatest country in the world by far, hands down. But just being able to walk out there and seeing a bunch of different cultures as well when you compete at Worlds, it's just such a cool feeling. And I never try to take in like the nerves, and I never try to absorb any of it, but I always try to appreciate it and be grateful, because there's probably a million other people out there that would wish to be in my position right now. So I always take it with a perspective of gratitude, just being grateful that I get to be there, because not everybody gets to do that, especially 4 times in a row. It's hard. It takes a lot of hard work to be great, and I'm not great yet, but I'm gonna be. But just in that aspect, gratitude's just the biggest thing ever to me, especially competing on that level. So I guess my advice to any people making a world team for the first time, be grateful. because you never know when you're going to get that chance again. And, you know, you're not just representing yourself, you're also representing your school, your coaches, your family, and you're representing the United States of America. It's a big deal. So enjoy it and have fun, but represent them with honor for sure.
Oregon State's turned into a Greco-Roman powerhouse. You know, what's going on up there?
On the come up, on the come up. I'm loving it out there. I just want to give a big thanks to all my coaches, you know, Angle, Roden, Crooks, Pendleton, you know, BK, and all the staff that helps me. You know, they say that I'm a piece of work. I don't think I'm that bad, but maybe my opinion's biased. But, you know, they help me a lot with everything. And so just to have a supportive coaching staff is one of the feelings that I miss the most, especially, you know, during my Greco gap year, trying to, you know, make the Greco Olympic team. You know, all of that was lonely, you know, because I didn't have a team. So, you know, just also having a team I'm super grateful for. You know, it was just me and my coach. And so a lot of the time, you know, I would always feel lonely. And so, you know, to finally be a part of a team and have a staff that's behind my back every day, it's one of the best feelings in the world. And I know that whether I win or lose, you know, I never fail to them, which is a great feeling to have.
Anything else you'd like to say or anyone to shout out?
Go Beavs. Oh, shout out to my family. They weren't able to come up. I can't say that they heard my mom's crazy screaming today, which is unfortunate, but shout out to my family. Miss my parents, haven't seen them in a bit. And also shout out to my brothers and, you know, anybody who's watching, anybody who supports me. I'm just coming from a place of gratitude, and go Beavs, baby. Let's get it.